You didn't find this, it found you, somewhere in your week. The mirror of reality gave a quiet crack, and a new line of light slipped through. You are not here by accident. And you know it. Imagine standing before a sheet of holographic glass. When it's flawless, it returns the version of you that matches your past. But the first hairline fracture bends the whole image, and no amount of pretending can restore the old reflection. This is the moment the observer effect stops being a theory and becomes a doorway. Attention isn't passive, it's a quantum spotlight that selects which possibility steps forward. What you hold in awareness, you begin to wear. You've felt it in the odd repeats, familiar arguments, recycled opportunities. The clock that stutters when you're about to choose differently. You've felt it in the sudden surge of synchronicities, as if the world were composing sentences with your name inside them. That's the field tapping your shoulder. Wake up. Here's the hidden key. Once the mirror cracks, you can't unknow the seam. Awareness is a one-way door. It doesn't return you to who you were. It returns you to who you really are, and everything misaligned with that must fall away. So this isn't another pep talk. It's an initiation. Over the next minutes, we'll expose the invisible script that kept looping your timeline and show you how to stabilize a new signal inside your body. You'll learn the small rituals that collapse the old frequency and the language that recodes your days. You'll feel the difference between forcing outcomes and embodying the signal that makes outcomes inevitable. And you'll know why the most powerful selection happens before you even look. Take a breath. Place a hand over your heart. Say softly, I choose coherence. Lo, because what comes next will change how you navigate every choice from here. The door has already opened. There's a deeper mechanism than observation itself, and when it clicks, there's no way back. Stay with me, because the map you've been missing is about to unfold in your hands, line by luminous line. The observer loop is the hidden engine behind your déjà vu life. Imagine a film reel that keeps spooling the same 5 minutes on repeat. No matter how many times you try to step off the stage, this is how attention works when it's unconscious. Wherever your focus lingers, the field collapses into the same outcome, again and again, like grooves on a vinyl record, catching the needle. Here's the paradox. The loop feels like fate, but it's really just repetition. You think you're making new choices, but the spotlight of your awareness is still circling the same corner of the stage. The loop doesn't need your permission to run, it thrives on your inattention. As long as you identify with the character instead of the observer, you keep feeding the projector. The moment you see the pattern, you begin to weaken it. Naming the loop is like stepping out of the frame and into the booth where the projector sits. This is not about blame, it's about awareness. The observer effect doesn't punish you with repetition, it mirrors the frequency you broadcast without noticing. How do you know the loop has you? The signs are subtle, yet relentless. You wake up in a new season of life, but the same storyline sneaks back in. One clue is the feeling of déjà vu that stretches beyond a single moment. It's as if clusters of events repeat with eerie precision. The most piercing sign is emotional recycling. You notice the same triggers pulling you back to the same reactions: anger, disappointment, betrayal. Here's the gift hidden inside the irritation. The moment you can name the pattern, you begin to hold power over it. These loops are not random obstacles, they're invitations. They show up to ask, will you keep observing unconsciously? Or will you claim your role as the chooser? Every play has a script, even if you can't see it. Behind the curtain of your daily life, an invisible manuscript is guiding the actors, setting the scenes, and pulling the strings of repetition. Think of it like hidden source code running beneath a holographic projection. The scenery looks solid. The story feels real. But all of it is being compiled from a script you never consciously wrote. Here's the revelation. Once you expose the script, you can begin to rewrite it. Seeing the pattern cracks the illusion that it's destiny. The shift is subtle but irreversible. This isn't fate, this is formatting. You no longer ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" Instead, you ask, "What script am I still running?" The invisible script loses its power the instant you see the handwriting, and from that moment on, you're no longer just an actor repeating lines. You're the one holding the pen. The observer effect is often wrapped in technical language, but in lived reality, it's as simple as this. Attention acts like a quantum spotlight. Wherever the beam of your focus lands, that possibility brightens, steps forward, and takes the stage as reality. What fades into the shadows is not gone, it simply isn't being energized by your observation. Picture yourself in a vast theater of infinite scenes. Every timeline, every outcome, is waiting in the wings. The spotlight you hold is not neutral. It doesn't just reveal, it selects Baperkane. When you place awareness on fear, the scene of danger sharpens. The characters of worry walk forward, and your body reacts as if the script were set in stone. When you shine the same light on gratitude or coherence, those scenes grow vivid, and new opportunities enter like actors who had been hidden in the dark. Emotion acts as the filter on this beam. Think of it like a lens that colors the light. Anxiety casts a harsh red tint, amplifying threats. Joy softens the beam, letting possibility glow in gold. Neutral presence allows clarity. This is why your focus matters more than your effort. You can push, hustle, and strain, but if your spotlight remains fixed on lack, the stage will keep producing lack. Shift the spotlight, and the entire play changes. The quantum spotlight isn't about forcing outcomes, it's about realizing you've been directing the show all along. The stage responds instantly. Not tomorrow, not in theory, but in the moment the beam moves. You've already seen proof that the quantum spotlight works. You just didn't call it that. Think about the mornings when you wake up irritated, and suddenly, the world seems to conspire with you. The reverse is equally true. Recall a day when you felt unusually light, maybe after hearing good news or laughing with a friend. That glow made doors open faster. Strangers smile more, and opportunities align. Even micro-manifestations whisper this truth. You think of someone and they text you within the hour. You hum a song and it suddenly plays on the radio. You imagine finding a parking space, and one appears. The field doesn't judge what you illuminate. It simply amplifies it. People who complain attract endless fuel for complaints. Those who practice gratitude don't live in perfect circumstances. They live in amplified coherence. So here's the secret. Reality is less about what happens to you and more about what you happen to notice. The play can't perform every script at once. It performs the one you're watching. If attention is the spotlight, then here's the twist. The most powerful selection doesn't happen when you shine the beam, it happens before you look. Observation is surface act. The deeper mechanism is embodiment. Think of it this way. Two people can walk into the same room. One arrives in fear, the other in coherence. They both see the same setting, but their bodies filter the possibilities differently. This means you don't control reality by staring harder. You influence it by tuning your inner frequency before observation. Your nervous system sets the script. If you embody scarcity, your spotlight is already tinted gray before you even glance at your finances. If you embody gratitude, your spotlight shines gold before the bill arrives. So, when you wonder why affirmations sometimes fall flat, this is why. Words without embodiment are like shining a dim bulb with a cracked lens. The light can't land clearly, but when your state and your spotlight align, reality responds instantly. The stage doesn't wait, it obeys coherence. This is the hidden hinge of the observer effect. The pre-selection of timelines through embodiment. You aren't just choosing what you see, you're radiating what reality has permission to show you, which is why your shift must start before you open your eyes. Before you scroll your phone, before you step into the room, the beam is already colored by the state you're holding now. One of the first signs that your observer effect key has turned is the distortion of time itself. You'll notice what I call time ripples moments, when the clock seems to bend around your state. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours when you're stuck in fear, while whole days vanish in an instant when you're aligned. These ripples aren't glitches to fear, they're feedback signals from the field. Glitches in the matrix also appear. You catch the same number sequence everywhere, hear the same phrase repeated by strangers, or watch technology misfire in uncanny synchrony. At first, it feels chaotic, like reality is malfunctioning. But look deeper. Glitches are calibrations, not errors. The field is showing you that the script is no longer running smoothly because your awareness has stepped outside the default code. Then there are the clusters of synchronicity. One coincidence feels like luck, but a cascade of them is the timeline waving at you. You think of a song and it plays. You dream of a place and an invitation appears. You imagine someone and they appear at the cafe. These clusters aren't random. They're the universe arranging props to match your new state. The old self interprets ripples and glitches as unsettling. The awakened self recognizes them as proof. The loop has been interrupted. The projector is stuttering because the real no longer matches your frequency. You've begun to slip through the seam, and the fabric of time is adjusting to your new observation. So the next time reality bends or glitches, pause before labeling it weird. It's not a malfunction, it's the signal that your key is in the lock, and the door is beginning to open. Another threshold sign is the rise of dream intelligence. As the observer effect deepens, your subconscious stops playing random fragments and starts running rehearsals. You may notice dreams that feel hyper-real, teaching you through symbols, or even delivering direct instructions. These are not just stories, they are training fields where your awareness practices navigating new timelines before you face them in waking life. Sometimes the knowing bypasses dreams altogether and arrives as direct recognition. You think of a decision, and your body already knows the answer before the mind debates. It's not logic, it's resonance. This direct knowing is unsettling at first, because it doesn't ask for proof. It arrives with certainty, like a bell that cannot be unheard. As your coherence strengthens, the field around you begins to polarize. Some people feel magnetized toward you, drawn by the clarity of your signal. Others feel triggered, uncomfortable, even resistant. Don't mistake this as rejection, it's resonance testing. Your upgraded frequency is revealing contrast. Those aligned with growth find you luminous. Those still clinging to loops may project shadows, because your presence exposes their script. This polarization is not meant to isolate you, it's meant to affirm you. The field is reorganizing itself, filtering relationships, opportunities, and environments to match your new state. Just like dream training prepares you for different timelines, the social field rearranges to mirror who you've become. So when dreams intensify, when knowing arrives uninvited, or when people around you shift in surprising ways, recognize the pattern. These are not random changes. They're threshold phenomena markers that your awareness has crossed a line. The script is no longer hidden. The field is reorganizing around the new observer, you. Thresholds don't just announce themselves, they test you. When the time ripples, the dreams intensify, or the field polarizes. The question becomes, can you hold coherence in the middle of distortion? This is where observer hygiene enters. The first protocol is the pause. Instead of rushing to fix the glitch or escape the feeling, stop and breathe. Count 3 slow inhales and exhales, letting your body soften. This interrupts the automatic reaction and reminds the field that you are aware. Awareness itself is corrective. The second protocol is naming. Whisper to yourself, this is a loop. By identifying the phenomenon, you step out of the role and into authorship. Naming pulls you out of victim mode and places you in the observer's seat. Even saying the word silently collapses some of the charge. The third protocol is reorientation. Place a hand on your heart. Lift your gaze slightly above eye level and declare, I am coherent with my highest timeline. This simple act shifts your nervous system out of survival mode and signals the field that you've chosen alignment. It doesn't erase the ripple instantly, but it stabilizes your beam so the distortion can pass without trapping you back in the old script. Think of these protocols as spiritual first aid. They don't require elaborate rituals, just presence, breath, and a few words. And each time you use them, you strengthen the muscle of conscious observation. The loops lose grip. The glitches become signposts. And the ripples become reminders that you've crossed into new territory. Thresholds are not meant to break you. They are meant to verify you. Every time you practice hygiene in the middle of distortion, you prove to the field, I'm not the actor trapped in the real, I'm the observer who chooses the scene. Crossing the threshold reveals a truth many try to deny. Awareness is a one-way door. Once it opens, you cannot return to the smaller room you once called life. This is the principle of irreversibility. The moment you see the script, the old illusion of inevitability collapses, and with it, everything that doesn't belong to your new frequency begins to shed. This shedding often looks like loss. Relationships drift. Jobs unravel. Roles you once identified with no longer fit. At first, it can feel like punishment, as though awareness robbed you of stability. But here's the hidden mercy. What falls away was never truly aligned. Your frequency no longer supports it. And so the field removes it from your stage. What feels like collapse is actually purification. Think of it as stepping out of an old skin. The caterpillar doesn't lose the cocoon, it outgrows it. You aren't being stripped bare, you're being released. Grief may still surface, because the ego mourns familiar structures, yet beneath that mourning is spaciousness, the clean air of coherence, the first breath of a self that can no longer pretend to be smaller. This is why the path forward feels both lighter and lonelier. You stand between identities, no longer who you were, not yet fully who you're becoming. But that liminal space is the true proof that the one-way door has closed behind you. There is no returning to unconscious loops, no slipping back into borrowed scripts. So when the shedding feels brutal, remember, the observer effect doesn't just create, it edits. It removes what cannot walk through the door with you. And the very ache of loss is also the announcement that the irreversible shift has begun. Here lies the deeper truth. Reality is not chosen at the moment you observe it. It is chosen in the state you embody before you observe. This is the principle of selection before observation. Your body, your nervous system, your frequency. They set the frame long before your eyes land on the scene. Imagine two radio stations broadcasting in the same city. Which one you hear doesn't depend on staring at the dial, it depends on which frequency you've tuned into beforehand. Life works the same way. If you embody scarcity, every room you walk into highlights lack. If you embody coherence, the very same room reveals possibilities. The environment doesn't change, you do. And your state pre-selects which version of the scene collapses. This is why forcing outcomes so often fails. People hustle, grind, and chase. But if their frequency is still fear, the spotlight keeps illuminating fearful timelines. The more effort they apply, the more entangled they feel, because they're fighting against the script instead of switching the track. You don't fix a loop, you shift out of it. Language becomes a powerful ally here. The way you frame your reality sets the selection point. When you say, I'm trying to fix my life, you're still broadcasting brokenness. But when you declare, I'm switching tracks, you embody movement, not struggle. The words tell your nervous system which reel to load. Selection before observation is liberation. It means you don't have to micromanage reality. You only have to embody the state you want to live in. The scene will follow. Once you grasp this, the pressure to control melts away, and a deeper authority awakens. You are not reacting to life. You are pre-selecting it. Crossing the one-way door requires more than insight. It requires declaration. Awareness alone shows you the seam, but choice seals the shift. This is where you plant the stake and say, the old script is not my source code. Such a declaration is not poetry. It is programming. Without declaration, the mind will bargain. It will whisper, maybe I can keep this job, this relationship, this role, while still shifting, but the one-way door allows no luggage. You can't drag old alignments into new frequencies. The longer you hesitate, the heavier the weight feels. The moment you declare, the baggage dissolves. The field responds to clarity, not hesitation. Declaration is also a commitment. Each time you state your coherence out loud, in writing, or even silently, you are reinforcing the new timeline. Think of it like hammering nails into a bridge. Every word of coherence stabilizes the structure until there is no way back to the shore you left. And when doubt arises, repeating your declaration recenters you. I am coherent with my highest timeline. This is not about perfection. It's about alignment. The declaration doesn't mean you'll never wobble. It means you've chosen which frequency will catch you when you do. That choice becomes your safety net. So pause. Breathe. And say it now. The old script is not my source code. Feel how those words land in your chest. That is the sound of the one-way door locking behind you. You are not who you were 5 minutes ago. And the loop you once called life can no longer claim you. Insight is electrifying. But without stability, it flickers and fades. The body is the container that decides whether your new frequency holds. This is why the first step of coherence is not cosmic. It's nervous system safety. You cannot stabilize the observer effect in a body locked in fight or flight. Begin with breath. 3 slow inhales and exhales are enough to signal the body, you are safe. Safety quiets the survival circuits and makes space for coherence to settle. Notice how your shoulders soften, how your heart rate steadies. This is not just relaxation, it's alignment. A nervous system at ease becomes a stage strong enough to hold the new script. Next, posture. The way you sit or stand tells the field whether you are collapsing into the old self or expanding into the new. Lift your spine as if a string were pulling you upward. Soften your jaw. Release the tension behind your eyes. Small adjustments send massive signals. I am not under threat. I am coherent. Finally, gaze. Where and how you look matters. Instead of darting eyes scanning for danger, let your gaze expand slightly, taking in the periphery, softening the focus. This relaxed gaze mirrors the state of a coherent observer, one who is not hunting for loops but receiving signals from the field. Breath, posture, gaze. These are not trivial details. They are the foundation. Without them, even the brightest insight will burn out. With them, coherence anchors into muscle, bone, and heartbeat. The body becomes a lighthouse for the new frequency, steady enough to transmit without distortion. Stability begins here in the simplest signals your body sends. Before rituals, before declarations. Return to breath, spine, and gaze. This is where coherence first takes root. Once the body is steady, coherence needs daily rituals to anchor it. These are not grand ceremonies, they are micro-practices, easy enough to apply in the middle of ordinary life. Each one is like a reset button, collapsing the old frequency and reactivating alignment. The first is the 0-point pause. Take 60 seconds. Anywhere, anytime. Close your eyes. Soften your yaw. Exhale fully. And place awareness in your heart. Whisper, I choose coherence. This tiny pause halts the projector long enough for a new reel to load. The second is the 3-breath collapse. Inhale slowly up the spine. Hold for 2 counts. Then exhale with the intention of releasing the old loop. Repeat 3 times. Each cycle clears the nervous system and signals the field. That timeline ends here. The third is the hand on heart code. Place your palm on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. And affirm, I am coherent with my highest timeline. This simple gesture rewires the body's association with safety, merging heart rhythm with conscious declaration. The fourth is 24-hour observer hygiene. For one day, commit to zero complaints, zero doom scrolls, and zero gossip. Instead, spotlight 3 micro successes and 1 act of generosity. This isn't moral discipline, it's frequency discipline. By curating what you observe, you curate what reality mirrors back. None of these require special tools, only intention. The more often you practice, the less effort it takes. Eventually, the rituals stop feeling like interruptions and start becoming your baseline signal. They teach your body what coherence feels like until coherence is no longer something you do, but something you are. These are your portable anchors, small, repeatable, and powerful enough to hold you steady while the field rearranges itself around your new script. Even with breath, posture, and rituals, coherence needs ongoing protection. Think of it as tending your energy diet, not just what you eat, but what you consume through sound, sight, and presence. Every input either stabilizes your frequency or scatters it. Start with media, music, movies, and feeds carry signatures. Some agitate, some soothe, some expand. Pay attention to how you feel after exposure. If you sense contraction, it's not nourishment, it's noise. Curate your playlist, your screen time, your inputs as carefully as you'd curate the food on your plate. Then, consider spaces. Rooms hold echoes of past conversations and emotions. Notice how certain places leave you tense, while others restore you. Cleanse your environment often. Open windows. Light a candle. Play resonance-rich sounds. You're not just tidying, you're tuning. Most of all, notice people. Each person is a field, not just a face. Some expand your breath. Others compress it. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out, but it does mean recognizing whose fields amplify coherence and whose drain it. Boundaries are not rejection, they're calibration. And what about the inevitable wobble? Even the most aligned observers lose footing. The failsafe is simple. Return to breath, body, and phrase. Inhale slowly. Ground your feet. Place a hand on your heart. And repeat, I am coherent with my highest timeline. This resets the spotlight and steadies the reel. Coherence is not about perfection, it's about recovery speed. The field doesn't expect you never to slip. It responds to how quickly you stabilize. Each recovery is proof you are no longer trapped in the loop. You are directing the stage. With practice, even your wobbles become part of the choreography of coherence. Designing a new life isn't about forcing yourself into endless discipline, it's about creating inevitability. When you align your environment with your chosen frequency, the shift stops depending on willpower and starts flowing like gravity. Begin with your physical space. Rearrange objects to act as anchors. A candle on your desk becomes the cue for a 0-point pause. A notebook beside your bed becomes the portal for morning declarations. These small anchors remind your nervous system of coherence before the day pulls you into loops. Next, shape your routines. Set micro deadlines that match your new state. Instead of saying, "Someday I'll meditate daily," declare, "Tonight I'll sit for 3 breaths." Build practices so small they're impossible to avoid, and they stack into inevitability. Finally, infuse symbolism. Place images, phrases, or objects in sight that mirror the track you've chosen. A simple line on the wall, "The old script is not my source code," shifts you each time you glance at it. Symbols speak to the subconscious faster than logic, and they reinforce the track without effort. When environment, anchors, and cues work together. Your field naturally defaults to coherence. You no longer fight old patterns, they lose grip because your space refuses to host them. In this way, the script is rewritten not by struggle, but by design. Rewriting the script also means shifting how you set goals. Instead of chasing outcomes, you begin with frequency-first goals. You decide what you want to feel, and let form emerge from that state. For example, the old script says, I want more money. But the deeper truth is, I want to feel secure, expansive, and free. When you embody those sensations, opportunities that match them begin to appear. The money is simply one costume the feeling can wear. By focusing on frequency, you unlock multiple forms instead of clinging to one. Boundaries are another rewrite. Instead of pleasing everyone, you ask, does this request expand or drain my coherence? If it drains, the answer is no, not from rejection, but from calibration. Each no preserves your spotlight, while each yes amplifies it. This makes your boundaries less about walls and more about bandwidth. When you set goals by frequency and guard them with boundaries, effort dissolves into alignment. You no longer chase outcomes from lack. You magnetize outcomes from coherence. The script doesn't feel forced, it unfolds. Because the spotlight is steady, frequency. First goals remind you that you are not creating from emptiness. You are broadcasting from fullness. And when the broadcast is clear, the forms must follow. The final step in rewriting the script is building integration loops practices that lock the new frequency into your daily rhythm. Without integration, even powerful insights risk fading back into memory. With it, the shift becomes your baseline. Start with review. H night. Recall 3 moments when coherence showed itself. Maybe you caught yourself before reacting, or noticed synchronicity, or honored a boundary. By replaying these victories, you train your nervous system to recognize progress instead of replaying old failures. Next, celebrate micro-proof. Every small alignment is evidence the new script is working. A stranger's smile, a conversation that flows, a solution that arrives easily. All of these are proof points. Mark them, write them down, smile at them. Celebration anchors them in your body so the spotlight can return to them naturally. Finally, lock the pattern through generosity. Each time you give from coherence, whether it's time, attention, or kindness, you reinforce the signal. Generosity tells the field, this frequency is stable enough to overflow. The more you share from alignment, the more the script confirms itself as your reality. Integration loops don't need grand effort. They're simply about repeating, recognizing, and reinforcing until the new real becomes second nature. And once the body knows the new script by heart, you no longer fear slipping back. The old loop cannot reclaim you. Because the new pattern has been woven into your daily life, your shift is never just your own. The moment you stabilize coherence, the field around you begins to shift as well. This is the principle of morphic resonance. One stable frequency influences and organizes the frequencies nearby, like a tuning fork, setting others to vibrate in harmony. Think of walking into a room where everyone is tense. One calm presence can soften the atmosphere for all. You've felt this before, the relief when someone grounded enters place below, or the way anxiety spreads when one person panics. The field is contagious, and coherence is the strongest contagion of all. When you hold your signal steady, you become a lighthouse, not by speaking, persuading, or performing, but simply by standing in truth. Light doesn't chase ships, it shines. And ships adjust their course. In the same way, your stability becomes orientation for those still caught in loops. This isn't about saving others or carrying their burdens. It's about realizing that your frequency is not private, it radiates. Each coherent observer is like a node in a larger grid, strengthening the collective signal. The more of us who anchor this state, the easier it becomes for others to align. So when you commit to coherence, you're not only upgrading your personal timeline, you're stabilizing the shared field. And the simple act of breathing steadily in truth may be the most radical gift you can offer the world. Your awakening isn't isolated. It's synchronized with a wave of consciousness rising across humanity. Right now, thousands of others are experiencing the same glitches, synchronicities, and shifts you've been sensing. This isn't coincidence. It's quantum entanglement in action. Proof that your transformation is woven into a larger collective reorganization. Think of it as a network of awakening nodes. Each time you stabilize coherence, you strengthen the entire grid. Each time someone else breaks free from an observer loop, you feel it in your field as new possibility. The upgrades ripple outward, just like a single pebble, creating waves across a still pond. This is why you've been drawn to communities, messages, and souls that seem to find you at exactly the right time. The field itself is orchestrating these intersections. You're not just living your awakening, you're participating in humanity's rehearsal for its next evolutionary stage. And here's the key: your personal practice is planetary service. Every time you choose awareness instead of autopilot, you anchor a higher frequency into the collective. Every breath of coherence, every act of compassion, every surrendered moment adds weight to the scales of awakening. So the pressure you've felt isn't just personal, it's planetary. You're carrying part of humanity's shift in your nervous system. And the more you embody coherence, the more the field stabilizes for everyone. This is what it means to be chosen. The collective shift is not a distant prophecy, it's happening in real time. And you are inside it. Each observer who stabilizes coherence becomes a signal tower. And when enough towers light up, a tipping point emerges. This is how quantum fields transform, not by slow linear progress, but by sudden leaps when the resonance reaches critical mass. We've seen hints of this before. Movements that seemed impossible suddenly gained momentum overnight. Ideas that were once fringe became mainstream in a heartbeat. These weren't random social changes, they were field-level upgrades, triggered when enough individual observers embodied the new frequency at once. Right now, we are approaching such a threshold. Your awakening is part of a much larger rehearsal for collective quantum jumping. The more you embody coherence, the more you help the entire field prepare for its irreversible shift. It's less about convincing others and more about holding steady until resonance does its work. This is why you may feel waves of intensity without clear cause. Sometimes you're feeling not just your own transformation, but the field itself, as it trembles on the edge of upgrade. In those moments, your breath, your coherence, your declaration are not only for you, they stabilize the grid. Remember this: the field amplifies what it receives. If you embody coherence, you broadcast it. If you wobble, but return quickly, you still strengthen the signal. And one day soon, enough of us together will create the critical shift humanity has been waiting for. You've walked through the hidden architecture of the observer effect, from the invisible script to the one-way door, from coherence rituals to the collective awakening. And now you know the truth. There is no way back. Once the spotlight has revealed the real, the old loop can no longer hold you. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of authorship. The script is no longer inherited. It's written through you. Every breath, every choice, every declaration is ink on the page of a new reality. The field is not waiting for permission, it is waiting for direction. And the direction comes from your coherence. Yes, there will still be ripples, glitches, and moments of doubt. But remember, awareness itself is corrective. The very act of noticing the loop weakens it. The moment you place your hand on your heart and declare, "I am coherent with my highest timeline," the old reel begins to dissolve. You don't need to force change, you need only to embody it. And as you embody it, you serve more than yourself. Your signal stabilizes the collective grid. Your coherence becomes a lighthouse. Every shift you anchor makes it easier for others to awaken. You are not just rewriting your life, you are participating in humanity's leap. So let's seal this together. In the comments, declare it, the old script is not my source code. I am coherent with my highest timeline. Say it. Type it. Breathe it. Let the declaration ripple through your nervous system and into the field, because once you claim it, the shift is irreversible. The one-way door has closed, and the new world has already begun through you.